I love her humor. I love her aesthetic. I love her take on drag.
I just love what she's doing for the community and kind of giving people role models in our community to really look up to.
Sharon Needles is a babe. That's it. She's a babe. She's a total babe. She's got it all. She's smart. She's funny.
Hi, I'm Sharon Needles, and you're on the set of my music video. This club is a haunted house. I remember the first time I saw The Wizard of Oz, I was 4 years old, and we would watch it every year because they used to play it every year on TV. And my whole family would like play Scrabble instead of watching it because they thought it was boring, but I could never get sick of it. But I remember the first time I saw it, I cried when they killed the Wicked Witch of the West because I thought she looked like my mom. And how can you go wrong with a full black gown and green skin? And she didn't do anything wrong. She just showed up and asked some bitch for her shoes back. I mean, she was the only known living relative of the deceased, and she just asked for her property back.
Wizard of Oz was a huge play that he would do all the time. That's the one I remember the most. Or he would just make up characters.
I grew up in a small town in Iowa, and always wanted like big things for myself, you know. And I always liked television more than real people. And Dorothy was a girl who came from a farming community, and she escaped.
Erin, oddly enough, is probably less confident and less loud and less demanding than Sharon is. Sharon speaks what everybody's thinking, but nobody's willing to say. And Erin is much more tender-hearted and much more self-aware than Sharon is. Well, in our house you couldn't get a Halloween costume from the store. You could get accessories, but we'd go to the Goodwill or the Salvation Army and pick things to have for a costume. But he was always into making plays and costumes and characters.
Boo! I scared you. This But I've always dressed in drag, like I always snuck it around the house and stuff like that, like since I was 4. Sharon was invented in... Potatoes, when was Sharon invented?
What, Pittsburgh incarnation?
Yeah, 2006?
Yeah, I'd say 6.
Yeah. And she's just a like button-pushing drag queen, you know, like whatever. And then I was on TV, and then when I was on RuPaul's Drag Race, I simplified her. I was like, she'll be beautiful, spooky, and stupid.
I knew right away when she did the screen test, the little video introductions that run pre-season on Drag Race, right away I knew that, one, that she was a star.
Hi, I'm Sharon Needles, and I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am America's next drag superstar.
2, that I was in love with her. 3, that she probably was going to win the race.
Being gay nowadays is so easy, but being gay and weird, it's downright hard. These children need a role model. Gay men have always had an obsession with America's concept of commercial beauty and the exaggeration of the way we perceive women since the turn of the century in like 1900. And the most famous ones have always been ones that were fucking punk as fuck. I mean, Jane County, Lady Bunny, RuPaul, Pete Burns, Boy George. Even if their careers took them to a safe place just to sell records or to be socially relevant, their beginning was always punk as fuck. Drag queens are the fucking punks of the gay community. I'm like Divine and John Waters in one, you know? Like, I'm the outlandish person who will do anything for attention and be outrageous and be gunt and fucking punk as shit. And I also like understanding, and the other side of me like understands what I'm doing and likes controlling it and exploiting it. And it's a fine line between nurture and exploitation. It's the way I treat myself and it's the way I treat other people.
It's not a traditional drag look, you know. A lot of even straight people, they'll see a drag queen and they kind of understand it's someone impersonating a woman to a certain degree, but Sharon and a lot of other really important nightlife people, they push the boundaries, they make it known that it's about art.
You know, it's one thing when you hear a pop star that's a female telling you to live your life, that you were born to be whoever you want to be. But when it's, you know, a man that does drag, that dresses as a woman, that does what you do, instructing you, I don't know, I get something from that. All my life growing up, I've always loved men teaching me, and Sharon just teaches me every step of the way.
If I saw someone with like a chopped off arm, I would coax them with any phrase or part of my being to get them to work with me. And one side of me says, you know, you're a beautiful person that deserves exposure because you probably don't get it. And the other side of me says, I want the world to stare and laugh at you because you're a clown, because you're missing an arm.
I think Sharon's an inspiration more for who she is, and she was sort of the first spooky queen to be like featured on Drag Race, and like I never really felt represented on the show until she was on it. And I feel like she's probably the closest thing that like, we have to like Madonna, again, as someone who like came up in the club scene and like really just sort of conquered the world.
I never knew you could actually make a living at drag. I've learned so much just since he was on RuPaul. I met Sharon on RuPaul with the rest of the country. I'd seen the looks going out the doors. He was going to his nightclub act or out with his friends, but I really didn't understand the whole opportunities that there are to really share that kind of art with people. And there are people who just do drag, there are people who are true artists. And to see that character come together is just amazing to watch.
When I look at her, I see Joan Crawford, I see Marilyn Monroe, and I also see, you know, in that same regard, a little bit of Madonna. I think she's pulling from a multitude of references. She has an incredible knowledge of pop culture. She isn't afraid to do anything. I think she really is excited about reinventing herself. So she's kind of fearless in that regard.
Drag used to be like the smart gay people, you know. They knew their pop culture, they knew their sub-pop culture. They weren't just involved with the gay community, they were also involved with like the punk community or the underground community or club culture, but that's not really so anymore. I know so many drag queens who have never seen Paris is Burning, never heard of Divine, never seen a Gregor Rocky film, doesn't know who Jane County is, doesn't know who Candy Darling is. So no, drag is fucking dead.
She has a really sick sense of style, which is rare for a drag queen.
I think it's really hard for a drag queen to be really fashion forward without seeming too campy, and so I think what she's doing is really great, especially because so many like major designers and stuff take their inspiration from nightlife and the underground culture.
Xana Bain has provided all the harnesses and the strappy kind of doodads that are kind of going on, you know, Sharon, and some extras. PJ of Wonderpuss Octopus has sort of provided all of those you know, encrusted kind of items.
I think she's really mixing high fashion with the underground drag culture that hasn't necessarily seen that. So I think she's blending a lot of haute couture, high fashion looks, and making them very mainstream, very accessible for the drag community.
The cohesiveness and everything that I pulled is just creepy, macabre. It's got to be dark. It's got to be black, cream, bone, beige. It's kind of the color palette, and just anything, you know, creepy, dark, not trite Halloween driven, but, you know, of the deconstructed body nature or rotten corpse kind of inspired.
It's a mixture between high fashion, tangibility, ready to wear with a touch of runway, dark, punk, rubber, leather.
I've done a lot of work with Sharon. You know, we have a lot of similar design aesthetics, so you know, she's really an easy client for me to understand and kind of give her what she wants.
I grew up in an MTV generation.
Were you always a singer? Were you always a songwriter?
I've been a poet. I've always wrote songs and wrote poetry. I'm only doing music now, and the weird thing is I really want to do an album because I was getting sick of lip syncing.
You grab a drink, I'll grab a knife. This is the end of the rest of your life. I was like, you did not just say that. For me, as a top-line writer, I pretty much know what's going to fly in pop music, but I also like to push the envelope. I like to tell stories, and Sharon and I had a lot in common that way. Sometimes I literally just write the whole song for people, but she wanted to be hands-on. She titled every song, was her title, and I just was a guide, pretty much.
It was written about the first time I ever came to New York, and I had a real obsession with like club kid culture of the late 80s and early 90s to the mid 90s. You know, like Disco Bloodbath, the book I read when I was younger, and it became a movie. Party Monster, of course I was obsessed with that. And I just love that people went out and got paid to do nothing and just got dressed up and were outrageous because that's how we were when we were younger. But it was like on a much more grander scale, and they were like superstars. And then I researched it, and when Andy Warhol died, all the real celebrities left New York, so clubs started inventing superstars. Michael Alig was a big part of that, and Jane St. James, Manowar, and stuff like that. The first time I came to New York, I went to Van Damme, one of Suzanne Barger's parties, and I walked in, and it was so scary. The music was like electronically dark, and everyone looked really cool and dark, and I was nervous because I was afraid my look wasn't like right and tight, and I was like, this place is a haunted house. It's dark everywhere you turn. There's like a fucking some dressed up monster.
She had a strong idea of a nightclub scenario that culminates in a blood orgy.
We did the nightclub shot last night, which was amazing, and I was so delightfully intimidated because they're like, could you just go stand next to Sharon and just pose? I'm like, you want me to pose next to Sharon? Like the queen of posing? Okay, that's fine. But I just channeled it. I just channeled my inner Sharon and got into it.
I know it goes into distressing a facade, making it look like it's 100 years old, but they did it with 100 rooms. And I just walked into every single set. I said, oh my God, I just want to shoot everywhere.
The stage is fantastic. I love it. It has a sort of deco backdrop that almost looks like a coffin. The hotel part of the space, really beautiful textures, amazing wallpaper, these beautiful rugs, and all the incidental light and stuff is really pretty. And then there's a very surreal aspect to a lot of the decor, which worked perfectly. It looks so beautiful. I can't imagine that people aren't going to be a little bit mesmerized by it. So I think that it's going to have a pretty positive response.
They're going to embrace it, and they're going to say, this is a really great looking image.
Did you ever anticipate that you would end up in a relationship with another drag queen?
Yeah, I always wanted to.
Really? Why?
Because they would understand that your job, and I wouldn't judge anyone for dressing up like a girl. And once you take the tits and the wigs off, it's just like David Bowie or something. And I'm not like one of those queens that dresses up like a girl so I can act like a girl because I know I can't cut it as my own personal sense of a man. So I didn't care if someone else dressed up like a girl. We have the same shoe size. So it's helpful. She's not crazy or egotistical or anything. She's just real sweet. So she loves it all. She gets excited about it all.
What does she want for Sharon Needles?
Whatever I want.
What does Aaron want for Sharon Needles?
Sometimes to die. To be genuine. Because I have a problem with that. Because I'm like a people pleaser. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't go too far, or I should take her in a direction that's good.
I would confess that I didn't take the time, or I didn't understand the whole artistic side of drag. I thought it was a hobby. I wanted him to get a real job like every other parent, and I didn't understand that there is so many avenues to it and so much opportunity to express all kinds of political and social issues.
The best advice I've ever been given was by Rue.
What was it?
What other people think of me ain't none of my goddamn business. You start off loving to do it, but there is a point where you feel like you have to do it.
Will you always have to be Sharon from time to time?
Of course.
For the rest of your career?
Well, I don't know how to do anything else. Well, I know how to make coffee, but I like the life that I live now. But at the same time, a lot of other people rely on you to do what you do.
Where does Sharon draw the line in terms of going to
She
Shrine?
doesn't know yet. I used this year as I created a concept for me, which was that success comes from compromise. And I've watched people not be successful because they decided not to compromise.
You know, I think she just has an edge. I think she really brings fullness to the table. It's realness, you know. Sometimes you see some queens out there and they're marking and, you know, you're like, don't take your wig off. She, every day, every single time she shows up and those lights go on, she's on point. Makeup is perfect. Everything's, you know, she's the epitome of what a good drag queen or nightlife personality should be.
Throw away everything but the origin. Okay, I'm smoking a cigarette.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Everyone, thank you so much for getting this fucking disgusting. Thank you for having mauve hair.
Everybody listen to security about directions. I'm getting out of here. He's going to tell you.
Confess one secret to Sharon.
Yeah.
I know where she gets her wigs because I'm wearing one of them right now.
I'd probably sleep with Sharon.
But I have these really detailed, prolific dreams about her all the time. And they're always very witchy, she always has like a look, and I should tell her some of my looks that I see her in my dreams.
I say, oh my God, way too much, Sharon. I'm sorry, I'm from Long Island, I can't help it. Oh my God is just in my, it's a reflex.
Well, I'd need her to be like nails on and like the whole 9 yards.
I stole some of your obsessive compulsive cosmetics concealer in Pittsburgh because I ran out, and when I was looking for Sharon's cat food I found some. You've got about 20 of them, girl, so whatever.
I'm not talking, I'm pleading the fifth on that one. Sorry, I plead the fifth, okay?
Aaron would probably say that he's so cool, so picky, and so particular about his identity that his biggest secret would be that he was Sharon Needles' biggest fan. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are we saying?
Yeah, let's sing the shit out of it. Let him practice it twice, please.